Hello dear listener, please subscribe to our channel. Enjoy watching. You ever hear the phrase, "Don't trust anything that seems too good to be true"? Well, I guess I should have listened. My life, my perfect life, was a goddamn illusion. A fantasy I built around Amanda, my beautiful wife of 7 years. And it took me exactly 3 minutes to realize it was all a lie. But let me back up a little. The house Amanda and I shared was a dream come true. Perched on the California coastline, it had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean, sleek modern furniture, and a wine cellar stocked with Amanda's favorites. It was everything she wanted, and I gave it to her, happily. I'd built my tech company from scratch, poured my blood, sweat, and sleepless nights into it. By 35, I was a millionaire. And Amanda? She was my rock. Or so I thought. She didn't work, didn't have to. Her job was to love me. That was the deal, or so I naively believed. But as I stood in the driveway that Friday afternoon, clutching the envelope with tickets to a surprise Napa Valley getaway, something felt off. Her car was in the garage, even though she'd told me she'd be at her yoga class until 6. I pushed open the front door and stepped into silence. And then I heard it, muffled laughter. A man's voice, deep and husky, and Amanda's familiar giggle. I didn't rush in. My heart was pounding too hard, my thoughts racing too fast. Instead, I moved quietly, my sneakers barely brushing the hardwood floor. The laughter was coming from the living room. The sight stopped me cold. Amanda, wearing nothing but a silk robe, was lounging on the couch. Next to her, Brad, her personal trainer, a guy she'd introduced to me months ago, sat with his arm draped casually around her shoulders. A half-empty bottle of wine and 2 glasses sat on the coffee table. "Yeah, Chris doesn't suspect a thing," Amanda was saying, swirling her wine glass. "He's too busy at work to notice what's right under his nose." Brad laughed. "You think he'd be stupid enough to give you the house and the divorce?" "Oh, he will," Amanda said, grinning. "He's not stupid, but he's predictable. I know exactly which buttons to press." I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. My throat was dry, my fists clenched. But I didn't burst in. I didn't shout or demand answers. I just stood there, letting their words sink in. Finally, I cleared my throat. "Am I interrupting something?" Amanda froze, her face paling. Brad jumped to his feet, stammering some lame excuse about a surprise fitness session. But Amanda didn't bother with excuses. "Chris," she said coolly, standing and tightening her robe, "we need to talk." The conversation that followed was surreal. Amanda didn't apologize. She didn't cry or beg. Instead, she laid out her plan with the cold precision of someone who'd rehearsed it 100 times. "I'm leaving you," she said. "It's not working anymore. You're obsessed with your work, and I need more." She didn't mention Brad directly, but it was obvious. 2 days later, she served me divorce papers. Her demands were staggering: the house, half my assets, and spousal support. I could barely contain my rage, but I knew better than to fight her outright. She'd already won the emotional battle. But as I signed the papers and handed them back to her, a thought struck me. If Amanda was so confident in her victory, maybe she'd let her guard down. And maybe, just maybe, I could use that to my advantage. Revenge is a dish best served cold, or, in my case, with meticulous planning. Over the next few weeks, I played the role of the defeated ex-husband. I moved out, staying in a rented apartment across town, and let Amanda think she'd broken me. In reality, I was putting together a team. My first call was to Dave, an old friend from college who worked as a private investigator. "Chris," he said after I explained the situation, "you're playing with fire here. Are you sure you want to do this?" "Absolutely," I said. "Burn the whole damn house down, for all I care." Dave got to work, and the results were better than I'd hoped. He found records of Amanda transferring money from our joint account into Brad's failing fitness business. She'd been siphoning cash for months, enough to put me in a precarious financial position if I hadn't caught on. Armed with this knowledge, I started moving the pieces into place. I set up a fake offshore account under Amanda's name, complete with fabricated transactions that made her look like she was laundering money. I also began transferring the stolen funds back into my own accounts, one small deposit at a time. By the time I was done, Amanda and Brad's financial safety net was gone, and they didn't even know it. 4 months after the divorce, I reached out to Amanda. "Hey," I said over the phone, keeping my tone light. "I've been thinking, and I'd really like some closure. Why don't we have dinner at the beach house? One last conversation, just the two of us." She hesitated, but I could hear the smugness in her voice when she finally agreed. Amanda loved playing the bigger person, and this was her chance to gloat. What she didn't know was that the beach house wasn't hers anymore. The deed was in my name again, thanks to some creative legal work. The night of the dinner, Amanda arrived with Brad in tow. I'd expected as much and had prepared accordingly. The table was set with candles, fine china, and her favorite Bordeaux. I poured generously, making sure to spike Amanda's glass with the sedative. Brad, ever the oblivious idiot, drank just as much. We chatted for a while, Amanda dropping hints about her new life and how free she felt. I smiled, nodded, and let her bask in her delusion. When the sedative kicked in, it was almost comical. Amanda's head lolled to the side, and Brad slumped forward, his wine glass slipping from his hand. They woke up tied to chairs in the middle of the living room, the flickering glow of the TV illuminating their pale faces. "Welcome back," I said, holding up a remote. "You're just in time for the main event." I hit play, and the screens around the room lit up with footage. Amanda sneaking into Brad's apartment. Brad bragging to his buddies about stealing from the nerd. Amanda telling her lawyer how she planned to ruin me. Quite the performance, don't you think? I said, pacing in front of them. But don't worry, I've saved the best for last. I laid out the evidence of their embezzlement, fraud, and money laundering, complete with a trail leading directly to Amanda's fake offshore account. Then I placed 2 plane tickets on the coffee table. "Here's your way out," I said. "Take these and run. Because if you're still here tomorrow morning, the police are going to find all this." Amanda started to cry. Brad sputtered excuses. But I didn't care. As I walked out of the house, I triggered the timed fire system I'd installed weeks earlier. By the time the authorities arrived, there'd be nothing left but ashes, and a mountain of evidence implicating Amanda and Brad. The best part? The tickets I gave them were one-way flights to a country with no extradition treaty. They'd be stuck there forever, penniless and on the run. As I drove away, the glow of the fire fading in my rearview mirror, I felt a strange sense of peace. The house always wins. And this time, so did I. If you leave a comment, tell us what you think about the story you heard. It's important to us and will help us find and tell stories that you find interesting. Thank you for watching us.